Escalation this afternoon in the Trump administration's war against Harvard University. The New York Times is now reporting that the White House halted Harvard University's ability to admit international students after Harvard refused to turn over detailed records about its student body. The New York Times writes this, quote, "The administration notified Harvard about the decision after a back and forth in recent days over the legality of a sprawling records request as part of the Department of Homeland Security's investigation. That's according to 3 people with knowledge of the negotiations. For international students already enrolled at Harvard University, this marks a threat to their ability to study in the United States at all." In a release from the Department of Homeland Security, DHS Secretary Kristi Noem writes this, quote, "Existing foreign students must transfer or lose their legal status. It is a privilege, not a right, for universities to enroll foreign students. Harvard had plenty of opportunity to do the right thing. It refused. They have lost their student and exchange visitor program certification as a result of their failure to adhere to the law. Let this serve as a warning to all universities and academic institutions across the country," end quote. Harvard responding in a statement, quote, "The government's action is unlawful. This retaliatory action threatens serious harm to the Harvard community and our country and undermines Harvard's academic and research mission." Joining our coverage is New York Times investigative reporter Mike Schmidt, whose byline is on that reporting we read from. Mike, let me start with Harvard's response. Is any of this legal?
Well, we don't know. Harvard's going to have to go to court to fight this. And it's going to open up a whole nother legal front in their battle with the administration. And it underscores something that officials at Harvard have come to appreciate and understand, that the school is in a is in a crisis. The school is truly in a crisis because they have lost a major amount of their funding from the federal government. And even if they succeed in court in getting that funding back, the administration can still use, or at least try to use, the levers of the federal government against them to try to harm them, as they have done here today. And maybe they're able to go to court and to get some sort of resolution about this. But if you're an international student at Harvard today, you got a clear message from the Department of Homeland Security, which was either transfer or leave the country. And what's remarkable about all of this is that about a little bit more than 25% of all the students at Harvard are international students. So that means a quarter of the students for the academic year starting in the end of August, the beginning of September, may not be at Harvard because of this, or at least today, their status about whether they can go to school is in question. And not only is that obviously a big issue for those students who are just trying to make their way through college or postgraduate studies, but it's a big question for Harvard's bottom line because of the amount of money that these students pay to the school. So Harvard, this is just another front that Harvard faces in its fight with the administration.
The fight with Harvard seems so deeply personal and clear retribution for fighting and not coming in and doing what you described as a true social deal that the law firms went in and did, that Trump and his lawyer Boris Epstein hammered out. I mean, what is it that makes this stop?
I don't know. The thing about Harvard that you have to understand is that it's different than the law firms. The law firms who wanted to fight went to court and quickly got judges to give them injunctions, temporary restraining orders to stop the executive orders. And those law firms, as much as we can tell, were able to continue on with their work. The difference about Harvard is that half of their research budget is tied to money from the federal government. So that in and of itself created a huge question about where is that research money going to come from, not just for this year, but in future years. And research is something that researchers would like some certainty about. They would not like to be thinking, oh, where is my money going to be in a year or two for this long-term study into things like cancer.
Things like cancer. I want to ask you where all of these, a lot of them are scientists, a lot of them are working on research projects into things like cancer.